guys? Hope you're doing well. Crazy stuff happening today. The LA riots are escalating in tensions. Now, the LAPD is using rubber bullets to control the crowds, which have resulted in an Australian journalist being shot. I'm going to show that in a moment. What we also know is that Donald Trump has deployed 300 National Guard troops on the ground to protect federal personnel and property. It's the first time a president has called the National Guard into a state without the state's consent or requests in decades. Another 500 Marines are ready to deploy, and Trump defended his decision on Monday to deploy for the deployment, saying that the intervention prevented Los Angeles from being completely obliterated. I also have Trump's Truth Social account open right here, and he posted, "If they spit, we will hit." Quote, "This is a statement from the President of the United States concerning the catastrophic Gavin Newsom," he's making fun of his last name, "inspired riots going on in Los Angeles. The insurrectionists have a tendency to spit in the faces of the National Guardsmen and women and others. These patriots are told to accept this. It's just the way of life, how it runs. But in the Trump administration, if they spit, we will hit. And I promise they will be hit harder than they have ever been hit before. Such disrespect will not be tolerated." Crazy threat. Things are escalating like crazy. I want you guys to see this video of this Australian reporter being shot by a rubber bullet. Let me pull it up just 1 second here. Take a look at this.
Bullets at
Here it is
protesters,
again.
moving them on through the heart of LA.
So if you look in the video, because I actually did the slow mo, let me show you because you can actually see the officer firing right at her is what it looks like. Look at that. He's right over here. Do you see that? Right over here. Look at it's literally I don't know who else he'd be shooting at. To me, it looks like he's pointing it right at her. You can see this is right when he shot. You can see the smoke coming out of the gun and it hits her. Look at that. And if you like slow mo, you can see he raises it and points it right. I do not know who else he would be trying to shoot unless there's somebody in front of her that we're not seeing and he's going for a low angle, but to me it looks like a direct shot. It looks intentional. Crazy. Now, this is what I want to say is that we're seeing a lot of people, and I'm sure that you guys have as well, waving the Mexico flag across all of these riots and all of these protests. And as they're waving these flags, people are coming out, especially on the right, and saying that these are invaders. And look, they're not even waving an American flag. And optics in situations like this are unfortunately very important because of how the mainstream media is going to spin it. Take a look at this TikTok video that I saw that I think sums it up pretty well.
Not attending a protest against the ICE raids, you need to be flying an American flag and an American flag only. Put away the Mexican flags, put the Palestinian flags away for right now, and only fly an American flag. The optics here are incredibly important. The news is going to be covering this from all angles. They're going to be taking a ton of pictures. These pictures are going to end up in history books. The entire nation is going to be watching this unfold. The world is going to be watching this go down. And it needs to be incredibly clear who it is that our president is deploying the American military against. This is not America versus a Mexican invasion. This is the American military against its own citizens. The military against its mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, aunties, uncles, cousins, and its neighbors. Make it very clear who it is that the military is being deployed against. And change your language. Now you're going to start chanting things like save our country and defend the Constitution.
Personally, I think that she's completely right. I mean, the thing is, this is the issue, and I know this is going to be the issue for a lot of people that disagree with this. Is that pride is a very serious thing, and the people that are doing these protests are going to. It's just matter of fact that they're not going to want to wave the American flag. As a Palestinian, during the Palestinian protests, I'm going to get a lot of hate for saying this. I was actually interviewed, and the interview never aired because during the interview, they asked me, how do I feel like the campus protests were going for Palestine? This is what I said. I said the protests are important. I think they're great. I would wish to see more American flags being raised with the Palestine flag, because if the goal is to change US lawmakers' position on Palestine look like an anti-American campaign. And to do that, we have to raise the American flag so that way we're palatable enough to U.S. lawmakers. That for some reason caused a firestorm. It became apparently super controversial. How could you say to raise the American flag while the American government is what is supplying Israel with weapons to murder Palestinians? Yes, matter of fact, that's exactly what happening. That's exactly what's happening. But in order to change that, we also have to be strategic here. That's a bit of a nuanced conversation that most people don't want to have. I completely agree with this lady. If you're waving foreign flags and you're making it seem like it's an invasion from another country, then why the hell does anybody care? Why would the hell would anybody care about the protests? I've said the same exact thing about the Palestine protests. I said both flags should be waved at the time. Again, the interview wasn't aired. I'm not going to say who was doing the interview, but it just didn't go well. I want you to also see what the right is saying, because they're saying this exact same thing, which is why it's bad to feed into the narrative. Let's see here. Charlie Kirk has been going off on X recently with everything going on. Since you love Mexico so much, we are going to happily return you. I've been seeing a lot of similar rhetoric like this, of people saying it's crazy how you're waving the Mexico flag while not wanting to be deported to the flag of the country that you're waving. Here's another photo of them. Wow, I didn't realize just how bad it is looking at this destroyed car. This is the image of modern Democratic Party: chaos over order, criminals over law abiding citizens, foreigners over Americans. Here's another that I wanted to share. While everybody's freaking out about these foreign Mexico flags, there is no problem when they see the Israeli flags. Quote, the protesters are waving foreign flags. Meanwhile, the entire US government with the Israeli flag all over the place. Also, I'm glad I saw this. This is a video I bookmarked. I wanted to show this as well because it really touches on everything.
So let me get this straight, just so I could clarify it. You don't want to go back to Mexico. You're protesting to stay away from Mexico, but you're waving the Mexican flag and you're waving it with pride. You're waving it in the United States, the country you're trying to stay in, the country you don't want to leave, but yet you're waving the Mexican flag with pride. Okay. That seems normal to you? That seems logical? That's not stupid at all? None of that's stupid. All right. You guys are an embarrassment to the Mexican culture and to the United States culture. You guys are an embarrassment to everybody around you, and you should be ashamed of yourself. Do better.
I'm not going to speak on behalf of Mexicans whatsoever, but I am going to speak on behalf of my personal experiences being a Palestinian American, because I get asked this question a lot, especially by American patriots and people whose family have been here for generations on generations on generations. Why don't I see more immigrants waving the American flag? If you guys want to say that you're American citizens, why aren't you waving the American flag more? And I'm going to give you the honest answer, at least from my personal experience. I'm going to give you 100% the honest answer, and I'm not going to sugarcoat any of it. I didn't feel like I could confidently wave the American flag and express American patriotism until I was around 21 to 23 years old. And this is why. This is why, at least in my personal experience, as a Palestinian growing up, mainstream media is heavily anti Arab. That's just the truth, especially after 9/11. Anti Arab sentiment in the media is huge. I personally felt like American patriots who waved the American flag, based on what I saw in the media, likely hated Arabs. So I just assumed anytime I would see an American flag that person probably hated me. And then from there, you start to get into this cognitive dissonance where you're like, okay, people that wave the American flags hate me. That means that if I wave the American flag, I hate myself. This is how I felt. So for the longest time, I just didn't express any American patriotism while I lived in America. I was pretty well assimilated otherwise, but I just felt like showing American patriotism meant I hated myself. At the same time, my family in the occupied West Bank are getting shot and murdered by Israeli settlers who have M16 rifles from the United States. And I can't speak on behalf of all Arabs, but what I can tell you is that waving American patriotism also feels like a little bit like you're backstabbing your family who've been killed by the American backed Israel. Now, I do express American patriotism, and I'm going to tell you how I was able to change that and how I was able to reframe my mindset. Is once I realized that Zionism and American patriotism are different, completely reframed everything for me, and I became a lot more confident waving the American flag. I've met a lot more conservative American patriots who've really helped me distinguish that. And this is what I mean. The United States is bombing the shit out of the Middle East. They've been bombing the shit out of the Middle East for decades now. And for the longest time, I felt like it was because it actually benefited US interests. Maybe a little bit because of the oil and making sure that they have control of the oil in the Middle East. That's definitely a part of it. But a much larger part of it is because of the Zionist coup of American Middle East foreign policy. And that happened especially in the early 2000s. If you look at the Iraq War, that was heavily pushed by Israel and Zionist interests to maintain Israel's security. So once I was able to separate and realize, okay, the reason that they're bombing the shit out of the Middle East is because our politicians are bought out by APAC. Our politicians are bought out by the Israeli lobby. And the US government is actually, in a way, it's occupied by Zionist interests and it's working in a way that's not actually benefiting its own interests. Once I was able to do that and realize American patriotism and Zionism are different, then I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel like I was backstabbing my own people while also recognizing that I'm an American too. I've been talking to my parents about that, and they've really started to recognize that, and I think that that's helped them feel more patriotic as well. That's how it feels from my perspective. Mexicans are completely different. They're not Arabs. They're going through a completely different experience, but that's what I'll tell you. Point is, this is something that we can't just view it from a left or right side point of view and expect to actually make real change. I feel like not enough people want to actually listen to the other side and see if they can come to an agreement in the middle. If you guys want to see more of my videos, make sure to click the subscribe button below. Please don't forget to do that and give me a thumbs up as well. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.